So you clicked on this video in the hopes to find out who might be the 2 remaining fighters in DLC Pass for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. While nobody necessarily has that answer, honestly, we won't know for certain until the thing is out. But what I can offer you is a very logistic and rational guess as to what the 2 remaining characters could be based off of a lot of different things, what I'm going to call the nerd factor. And because the hero is out today, I thought this would be a good time to finally hop onto this train of tons of people making these videos. So let's get started. And if it's your first time here and you want somebody to talk with every single week about geeky interests like games, animes, or movies, then subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't miss anything. So yeah, I'm really excited to talk about the Fighters Pass because I really wanted to cover this for quite some time, and I know there's tons of others, and I'll link you to actually a few neat things. In the description of this, you will find links to these various polls that I'm going to be referring to in this video. So check out the description and the cards to the side. Those are not plugins, they just simply supplement what I'm going to say in this video. And a lot of people might think that the Fighters Pass is really random right now, per se. And honestly, I kind of felt that at first. When we first saw Joker get revealed, I didn't know what the heck we were in store for because that was such a random pick. He wasn't on any polls or anything like that. It was just out of nowhere. And I also think we can start to deduct some reasoning though from all this, because Dragon Quest, being the hero character, they have a release coming out, the Dragon Quest 11S port, that's coming out in September. So this is actually a really well-timed release to get people attached to this character in Smash Bros. On the Nintendo platform over the next 2 months. And then when 2 months is over, they will be able to buy this game. So it's actually a really well-placed announcement. And Banjo-Kazooie is honestly one that nobody's sure of yet. That could mean we have another Banjo game on the way, but it's honestly, I truly believe it's because he was at the top of a lot of freaking polls. He was at the #1 spot of one of the polls I'm gonna be referring to in this video. So, and he's constantly been in desire from folks. So it's like, it makes sense. With each of the characters going to list here, you also have to think of what characters could sell this pass. What is a character that people, if they didn't have the Fighters Pass, would make them want to get it, or would make them want to buy this character individually for $6? So what I'm gonna call the nerd factor in this, if you put it, it's NURRD, is Nintendo. Is there ties with Nintendo in their history, present, past, future, etc.? Unique, would they play different than other members on the past so far, or just characters as a whole? Representation, is it really a feeling of collaboration with the whole everyone is here aspect involving multiple publishers maybe? Relevancy, do they matter today? Would this character actually market something? And finally, demand, has there been a massive outcry and, just so on for this character? That's the nerd factor that I think of with each of these characters. And I don't know how to go about this video, should I do it by each of those factors alone and just grade each character? But honestly, I just want to let you know that because that's what's in my mind. I'm not just picking these characters because they are special to me, I'm actually picking them because of those factors. So I'm just gonna list a few characters that kind of popped out to me from all these other videos and what I've been hearing about and seeing. And one that I've really actually not seen, honestly, of all these here, this one probably has the least demand per se, but Heihachi Mishima. This is the old fighter from Tekken, the Tekken series. I'm not a Tekken veteran, but I know who Heihachi is. And he would be a Bandai Namco representative. And I think that'd be cool because so far of all the newcomers in the game, both from the Fighters Pass and new challengers to the original roster, we don't have anybody new from Bandai Namco, I believe. Not to mention, this would be a fighting character, to which that would be very different. That's another thing I look at is how would this character feel really different from the people that are on the Fighters Pass. And Heihachi would be the fighting character. He would be nothing but fists and so on. And I think Ultimate has given a lot of love to fighting game fans with a lot of the things they did with this game, like all the Street Fighter battles in Spirit mode, the stamina mode battle finally being a thing, perfect shielding straight up being something like Street Fighter, I think this game has paid a lot of love to fighting game fans in those aspects, and Heihachi would be a really great, honestly, he's kind of like the top fighter I can think of, honestly. But the main issue for him is relevancy and demand. I don't believe there's any Tekken game coming up anytime soon, nor is there any for the Switch. His biggest issue is that there's not enough demand for him, there's not enough relevancy. But, I think they showed interest in him by having his outfit, as a Mii fighter in the last game. Now, I think this one's actually pretty possible being the Pokemon Gen 8, you know? It wouldn't be that surprising to me because they have their big game coming up soon. This would be the only first-party character, potentially, of the pass, and it would break that trend, you know, of the third-party picks. But it could be a well-timed announcement if they did this, like, around the time that Banjo comes out, and it's around an October or November announcement where it's, you know, so close to Pokemon Sword and Shield's release. I think they would have to skip out on picking the fire character per se, but, you know, it could be from one of the 3 starters. Now, this isn't necessarily a big in-demand thing, but I just see it, you know, being a good business tactic, and I honestly wouldn't mind it. I think it'd be neat. The big risk factor here with this one is Sakurai and his team would have to have really been in the know of the development from the Pokemon Company when it comes to Sword and Shield, because, you know, so far every other character they've made, they've had a basis to work with. But in this case, they don't. The next character I want to say is that I think the Fighter's Pass could really use a girl. And I honestly can't think of too many girl characters. Lara Croft, no. Cortana, no. Like, I can't think of any fighter characters that would work for this pass. Shantae, though. Shantae is... I was really surprised to research this and find how high she is in all 3 of the polls I looked into for this video. All 3 of the polls, she is really high up there. And her unique factor, she could have... I don't know how they would animate her. That'd be kind of interesting to see how she would look. But, you know, she'd have unique movesets with her hair and being able to transform into all these various things like she does in her game. Not to mention the relevancy, she has a 5th game coming soon to the Switch. So, yeah, in that combination with the polls, I'm not saying it's impossible. Her biggest issues is really that she is an indie character. So even though she has a 5th game coming to the Switch soon, and those games have been, you know, getting well sold and well praised, it's still an indie thing, so it's not necessarily like what would Nintendo really get out of marketing this indie game. And the other big factor against it that really, like, this hurts my hopes for Rayman as well, to which Rayman's another character I would love in the game. Yeah, but I didn't have a segment to talk about him here, but like, she has a spirit. She has a spirit in the spirit boards, and I personally feel that if there's a spirit, at first I thought it didn't matter, but looking at all the spirits that there are in the game, it's if they have a plain Jane spirit, that's just the character's name and that's it. It's not like Metal Mario or something like that, but it's just Shantae, then yeah, I think that means that they never intended for this character to enter the game. So here's Zero Suit Samus in her sports bra, you know, like being the character. I'm really rooting for Shantae though, but I just especially think that spirit thing is definitely the technical oh no for her, but also that she's an indie. Next up is someone that my community especially has had a massive outcry for, Sora. I truly do not see Sora entering this game. Dragon Quest is a Square Enix property, and like I said earlier, I don't think it's fair to have multiple representatives from one company. Imagine this entire Fighter's Pass was just covered with Square Enix characters, and you just leave out Bandai Namco, Capcom, you leave out all these great other potentials for a collaboration. It's a really weird relationship between Square Enix and Disney with who owns Sora. It's Disney's character, but Square Enix is the one who, you know, decides what they do with him and stuff. It's a really weird relationship, and that's another reason why I don't see Sora happening. But the thing that I didn't know is that I thought this was just a request from Kingdom Hearts fans, you know, but apparently Sora is actually a really in-demand character. I did not know that. He's like at the top of a lot of these polls, all 3 of the polls I looked into. He's in like the top 20, I believe. But I just don't see him being in, not only because of the whole, like, he's a Square Enix character and there was just this release of Dragon Quest and so on, but it's also that he, on the unique aspect, he would be another anime-looking person. And I think it'd be a good idea for this pass to have multiple art styles incorporated in it, and Sora would, you know, resemble the Dragon Quest characters, would resemble Joker as like an anime-looking art style. He would have a very sword-like style as well. And there's already tons of those characters in Smash Bros. And right alongside Sora and Square Enix is freaking Geno. Man, Geno is the, like, it's the vastly requested character amongst the Smash community. He literally was the only one on this list to be at the top of one of the polls I looked into. And that's because he's up there with like Ridley, K. Rool, Banjo, you know, he is one of the vastly requested characters ever since the Wii U, maybe even earlier. And the issue though is that again, Square Enix owns him for some reason, even though he's involved in this Mario game. And that's the other issue with him, is that, you know, how relevant is he? How, you know, would that be a good marketing move? Because he's from a game from like over a decade ago, you know? But then again, that didn't stop Banjo from coming in. His biggest factor is how vastly he's in demand. And there's been this issue with copyright with him lately that people have been speculating, you know, that these certain tracks from his game got removed by Nintendo and not Square Enix. So if for some reason his ownership transferred to Nintendo, then that would make me go, oh, Gino is in. He's gotta be, because he's literally top. But then he has a freaking spirit on the spirit board. And I'm telling you, I just don't think that if somebody has a spirit, I don't think that they are going to be included, because, you know, if they were going to include them, why would they put them on the spirit board? Like what? You're going to fight Gino, the spirit of Gino that is being played by Gino. It's just, yeah. And these next two characters are ones that I really don't see much being in the way of, honestly. Like next to Pokemon, I think these two have a good, you know, like safe bet of being in. The first one being Crash Bandicoot. There is not a Activision representative in this third-party pass. Like this Fighters Pass honestly just might be a third-party pass. And if it is, there's not an Activision representative yet. I could see Spyro, who is also like in the same boat as Crash. They're both Activision, but honestly, if only one of them make it in, I think it'd be Crash. Crash is much more likely to me. He is in like the top 10 of all three of the polls I checked for this video. So he's vastly in demand, so he has that for him. And when somebody's in demand, then that means they're gonna sell well. And talking about relevancy, there's nothing currently going on for Crash. That's the one thing that's against it, really, is just that I don't think there's any upcoming games for it. I think the most recent thing they did was a racing game, and that's really it. But they did just bring the collection of Crash Bandicoot, you know, to the Switch last year. So they have a relationship with Nintendo. It could work. You could have a really wacky moveset. He's vastly in demand. Like I just think Crash is a pretty safe bet. I don't see it happening, but I don't see much in his way, really. And the other one here is honestly the only pick on this list that I am actually thinking this is one I personally want and really don't see any objections other than one thing being this dude is Doom Guy. He is freaking M-rated. He is hardcore. How are you going to put Doom Guy, this brutal warrior that tears demons apart, into an E-rated game? That is his only issue. That is his only issue. Other than that, Doom Guy would be unique because he's a gun-based character. We don't have a gun-based character in the Fighters Pass. Yes, Joker uses a pistol or whatever, and Banjo might shoot eggs, but they're not gun-focused, and it's been a really long time since we've gotten a gun-focused character. And Doom Guy is arguably the most influential first-person shooter character there is in gaming history, so he's got the iconic thing going for him too. He isn't super in demand, but there is a bit of demand for him. He's actually in like the top 20 of one of the polls I looked into. Not to mention, if this is a third-party pass, this would represent Bethesda, who does not have a representative, period, in Super Smash Bros., like, at all, just like Activision. And Bethesda has been on board with the Switch since day freaking one with Skyrim and everything that they poured over to it. Not to mention Doom Guy would be a really neat art direction, just like Bayonetta. When she came out, people were like, this is really weird. Doom Guy could be that weird factor that's just like, this feels like a really different character regarding art style. Not to mention the marketing aspect of this could be really good because Banjo's coming out, I'm guessing probably in October or November, sometime in the fall, but in that time, they could also announce Doom Guy coming to the Fighters Pass, which surrounds the release of Doom Eternal coming to the Switch. That's the thing. Doom Eternal is going to launch on the Switch, so that is another relevancy thing that could promote that game, be a good deal for Bethesda, and I just seriously see no problems with Doom Guy whatsoever. The only thing is just him being Doom Guy, you know, he's just this M-rated brutal warrior. So I'd be really curious to see how they'd make that work if they do. And I love your thoughts on any of these characters and like who you think would make it in, or who of these characters I mentioned do you really object, you know, do you disagree with anything I said? Leave them in the comments and check out my collab video below with a few friends of mine where we discuss, you know, the Super Smash Bros. Franchise and how relevant and important it is and why all these people are coming to flock to, you know, be included in this game. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and don't forget to be geek, be proud, be awesome. I will see you in one of the videos below. Let me know who is a character you want in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate's Fighter Pass.